hyperfixations. And let's go ahead and talk about them. Now, I'm not the smartest man alive. I may not be anywhere close to it, as a lot of people would like to think in their lives. They usually try to like stack themselves up like, "Ah, I'm better than average." I don't care where I am. But this is something I feel like I know a very good amount. Not on a like technical level, but I do know a good amount when it comes to me and my experiences. Hell, there may be somebody who knows more than I do about it. But hyperfixations are a very big thing that I have had my entire life. And I don't necessarily feel like they're always good. A lot of people can usually attribute hyperfixation to finding something that you strongly think that you like, that you hold yourself to this new thing that you just decided you love because it's something new, it's something very engrossing, and there's a lot of stuff that you can continue with it down a path that you might be interested when it comes to it. But there is a burnout period, and for a lot of people it's a very long time before they get burnt out. And for, you know, most people, but hell, a lot of people, you may not feel that burnout until you've far beyond become some of the better ones at it. People who have a hyperfixation on I don't know, working out. It feels like it's something that they should do. It's not a fixation at that point. It becomes a hobby. It becomes a part of their lifestyle. Working out is a clear definition of what they do in their lives. And a lot of times, people will be able to keep those things going. They just they understand the necessity for them, and they understand the drive for having a sort of thing like that. Now, as you can see, mostly in the background, right over there, and a few things on this side, arguably much less. I have several different hobbies, and a good amount of them no longer, you know, fruitful in a lot of different ways. Mostly because there's a song that I like to listen to. I forget who it's by, or I forget what the name's called. But I believe it's by Audio Slave. I think that's it. And there's a line in it that goes, "Things that I've loved, things that I've lost, things I've held sacred, and then I've dropped." And it really hits home a lot of times that I personally feel it, because when you focus on something for such a ridiculous amount of time, your real only thought on it is, I am never going to get bored with this thing. I'm never going to move on. I'm never going to like grow out of it. Your idea is, I'm going to stay with this thing. There's such a huge mindset that comes to it that you don't really feel like you can move on. But when you inevitably do, you feel like you're dropping something that means nothing to you anymore. If you look closely on the other side over there, you can see like the vagueness of somebody who spent a lot of their time like uh growing up thinking the internet had cool stuff on it. My first big thing was just stealing anime where I could, and just enjoying the childhood that, you know, people who don't have a lot of money don't really get. A lot of people could have like, you know, subscriptions to places that they could watch TV shows, watch stuff that didn't show up on channels. I didn't have that. I had I had a house that did not have a lot of good channels. So what I did watch was whatever was on, the shitty sitcoms that a lot of people don't like nowadays or make fun of ironically, because there were some good jokes here and there, but they don't really care anymore. And a lot of the good things that would come through on the discount channels. everybody had Cartoon Network or everybody had Nickelodeon, and they loved the shows that were on those. But in between, there was a little series, there was a little channel called Nicktoons that was, I think, the midway between that. It was still Nickelodeon, but we all know what it was. It played a lot of different cartoons. Some of them were before my time. Some of them I just wasn't interested because it probably was my time, and I just never noticed it when they came around. But I watched Dragon Ball Z on there, and as you can see right there, that's the original Dragon Ball series on DVD, and I got that back when I still had that because I had an Xbox 360, and I loved Dragon Ball. I loved it beyond imagination. It was my shit. My formative teenage years were Dragon Ball. And most people relate to that because when people get into anime, they often don't dig further than where their childhood holds them. If you really like anime, then you keep digging, you keep going. Your list just keeps piling up. The amount of merchandise you have around your room starts to grow. Anime conventions are the mecca to you. And then heaven beyond that is Japan, where you always want to go. Uh, I kind of dulled out on anime by the time I got out of high school, and I dulled out a little bit less by the time I stopped watching Dragon Ball because it was one of those big series. You know, those things that you really like to think about when you're a kid that you just hold on to, and you're like, I'm gonna watch the next episode and the next one and the next one, and I'm gonna watch it till the season's over. And I blew my mind as every single part just went through it. I fucking adored Dragon Ball. It was this cool thing that I had never seen before as a kid. Blood in cartoons, it I had no ability to process it. Like that was something that like it hit what I thought was supposed to be like the man in me. Like these girls have like big boobs, and like the clothing that they have shows them off, and they're fighting and beating the shit out of them. And this cartoon, this thing that I thought was only for children, has blood in it. There's death in it. They say swear words out of nowhere, even though this is a kids channel, but you still see it every once in a while, and you're like, where did that come from? And you just, it's something that you feel like it has such a big impact on you. And you keep going with that. And I think I've seen the entirety of Dragon Ball Z about 8 times over. Like from Raditz to Cell getting obliterated. I've seen all of it. I've seen the movies 3 times each. I've seen all of it. And I watched Dragon Ball, which is over there. I finished the Boo saga a little bit ago. I watched Dragon Ball Super pretty recently, like very recently. Like it stopped a while ago, but I kept watching it. And in and in my head, I just kept thinking like this, like I'm not seeing this revolutionary thing anymore. I'm seeing like a pattern, and just that little disconnect of the inside of your brain from the object that you're enjoying feels like the first piece of thread that gets cut before the whole tapestry falls apart. Like once you get that one, you can still hold on to it, but little by little, you're going to start seeing cuts form and form and form until there is like a legitimate hole where whatever was there just fell away because everything's been cut. I am not a huge fan of Dragon Ball anymore. As a matter of fact, I think the writing on it is not great. It's mainly just like show off explosions and fun. Honestly, it feels a lot like the same way I would watch like a Michael Bay movie, which that sounds rough, but I like Michael Bay movies. They're fun, they're eye candy. You see them and you hear the cool sound effects done by overworked 20-year-olds who really just want the paycheck and they don't really give a shit what they're working on, but they did such a good job you care about it. And the CG in it is explosive, it's everywhere. I don't give a fuck if it's bad, if it's overused. It's fun to watch. And I And that's what it feels like to me. Like this thing that I worshipped as a kid, that I bought secondhand merchandise, which was definitely illegal from the places that I bought it from because, you know, resellers are fun. And I got all this stuff from it. I spent like 3 weeks of allowance to buy a cheap, shitty set of Dragon Balls that I had and I did nothing with. And then one day I looked over at my friend. I'm like, hey, want a present? And then I handed it off to him. I didn't want the money back. I didn't want anything for it. I just handed it off to him. And that felt like the first big thing. Like it wasn't a thread, it was the whole rope. And there was only like two more of them left. So then my buddies convinced me to download Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, which is a mobile game that has a lot of Dragon Ball characters. I play it every once in a while. Like I'll die hard it for a little bit, and then I'll log in once a day to get the rewards for it, and then I'll log back out, and I'll go back in and out and in and out and all that. But for a while, I just don't care. And I know a lot of people can just say like, "Oh yeah, it's cool. You can just drop things out of nowhere, and you can just uh, jump back onto them." Um, I actually have a second channel that I uploaded some rant similar to this, like early fucking on, like years ago before I had a second one, which is not a lot of subscribers. I understand, but I'm also not really. I don't want to post on that one again because I'm trying to keep a brand going over there. But it's not that I dislike the game anymore. I just know how to limit myself better. Don't spend money on mobile games. But it's it feels like another one of those examples where things that I've loved, things that I've lost, things I've held sacred, and then I've dropped really holds itself in a much more true sense than it is. I used to worship this thing, and I don't care about it in the slightest anymore. It's a piece of media that I can easily digest and then move on. I'm not impressed by it every time it comes out. I've seen things that do better. I prefer things that come out more. I just don't strongly care for them anymore. Now that was probably my first example of a true hyperfixation. Something that I really cared about that it fell through the cracks. Uh, there's a few things that I still have in my closet that's right over there that contain a few hints to Dungeons and Dragons, which if you haven't figured it out by now, I don't know everything that's up there. I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm a huge fucking dork. I know what I am. And Dungeons and Dragons is probably the most quintessential thing that you can probably have. And I really liked it for a while. I spent a lot of money on it. For the majority of the time I worked at my last job, I played the shit out of Dungeons and Dragons. I wanted to teach people how to play it. I wanted other people to know how it was done, how it was played, how it was enjoyed, how things could have been done so I could have maximized the amount of fun that I could have, that other people could have while I was there. And the little writer in me was really happy for it. And I spent upwards of $600 on just the books. And then I funded some Kickstarters. One of them I got back. The other one is still working on it. I understand it's a big book. They're taking their time. I'm not calling anybody out. And I don't care anymore. I know how to play Dungeons and Dragons. I find it incredibly fun when I do play it, and I'm excited when I get to. There's no hooks in there for me anymore. Like there's nothing that I can just pull myself up to grab the next hit of dopamine that's going to blow my brain out. And if you look closely up there at the very top of the shelf right here, you can see some Warhammer models. Yeah, I moved on from the thing where you can just be who you want to be to the thing where you can be who you want to be as long as you're an asshole. That is my current thing. I love the lore of Warhammer 40K. I love the stories of it. I love the look of a lot of them. I love the way the factions are handled. The games, in some respects, are very fun. I liked the Space Marine game. I fucking adore Shoot His Blood and Teeth. I'm excited for when Dark Tide is fully out and it's out of the beta. I just, I, I really want this feels like one of those things that I dove into a year ago that I'm still very much in love with. I listen to the audiobooks, I read the wiki, I collect the models, I have a few of them up there. I have fan fucking posters of them right there. And I still look forward to being like enraptured by something like this. But there's little moments that make me feel like that pair of scissors is getting close to that one little string, the first straw before the camel's back is broken. And I've been mulling this idea around for a while of me just like looking behind me and seeing all the things that I've dropped off. And I've had this idea for a tattoo for a long time where I could just take my arm, my skinny arm, and just bit by bit, size of like a quarter or a nickel, I can just get the things that I've collected, that I've loved, that I've adored, that have been a part of my childhood for a long time, and I can get them like stamped there that I can just show off like that thing that I dropped is no longer just a pit of money I threw at until I got bored and then I moved on and then just continued with my life. It's one of those things where I can just have a brand that shows like it meant something. It held there. The people around me don't care about a lot of my hobbies. I live with my parents. They don't care about most of them. They just refuse to learn the rules to a lot of the games, even though I've offered to teach them a lot of the times. They don't care. I understand they're a different generation. They don't give a shit. It's not their lifestyle. My sister wanted to learn. She no longer cares. She's not into it anymore, and she forgot all the rules. My brother, same thing. Family members, distant off, they don't care in the slightest. Dozens of people I've met have thought it was so cool. Their knowledge only went surface level, where I had dove in once at such an insane depth that nobody wanted to follow me anymore. I there was nobody around to like support the things that I did, and there are some things that I've dropped off on that I have hard dove back into. Making videos is something that I'm very proud of for doing because I started this on my main channel a long time ago. Back when I was still in high school, I was like 17 when I did it. I still had aspirations of being in the military. I had so many different things that I wanted to do, but making videos was the one thing that I wanted to do while I was there because I love being entertaining. Every video I make not for the fact that I want views, that I want people to see it, that I want money to come from it. Those are all amazing things, but they're not the reason I do this. The reason I do this is because I want someone to smile. I don't want someone to like look at it and then scroll past like you're going through unfunny TikToks. I want people to smile. I want people to be happy. I just want people to be happy with this. This is a hyperfixation that I had for a while. I have spent a very large amount of money on it. I'm talking into a $400 microphone, into a $100 camera. I know the camera's cheap. Shut up. I'm looking into it. I'm trying what I can. The speakers are first thing. All of this is being recorded off of, a $10 stand and a $10 cord and going into another $400 mixer, which I'm very proud I finally learned how to work with, into a $1,000 pre-built PC. I know, cheap again, and into a monitor that I'm currently staring at right now. See, right over there. And it's one of those things that I feel like when I put money into it, I'm proud of what comes out of it. When I put money into like D&D, nobody cares because there's not anybody else that gives a shit around me. There's too much space for none of the things that I really care about in the moment to have any room to blossom off, to reach themselves. I have my immediate group of friends, which I can feel slipping each and every day for the fact that they all live different lives, they all make different choices, they all just enjoy the world around them in a different rate, and they grow as humans. And I'm doing the same thing, but I'm not doing it anywhere near them, so I don't grow the same way they do. We just never talk to each other again, and then I lose them. And when I put money into Warhammer, I don't have the drive to build the models, I don't have the drive to paint them, but I'm very proud when I buy them because the box says I cared enough to have it shipped here and to remember it. But it's another one of those things where the hyperfixation does wear off. Making videos has worn off once or twice before. There's been 6 months at a time where I've just decided I'm not making videos because originally on my first channel, I did a video a day every day for about 4 months. And then I stopped and I just never went back to it. Then it was two a week, and then it was one a week, then it was one every 2 weeks, and then it was one a month. And then it was one, hopefully, by the end of the 6 months. And then they never increased in quality. They never got anywhere because I'd start it. And then I would be so upset that I didn't finish it by the end of the month. And I'm not saying I'm burnt out right now. I am extremely happy that I get to do this because I have a schedule now that I'm very confident in. I do one part a day for 3 days, and then I have 4 days off to just rethink about it and just appreciate the fact that there are numbers coming in for those videos. My last video that I put out, it didn't get a lot of views. But it's only been a day and a few hours. Like having 50 views may not sound like a lot, but that's more people than I went to school with. That's more people that are in my immediate family right now, which is an insane amount. The video before that is upwards of 700 views, which I know compared to these days, everybody and their mother has 1 million subscribers. They average 400,000 views every single time they upload. I don't care. That's 700 people. That is more. That is 3 times the size of the school I went to at its biggest. My elementary school, when all the kids were they just flooded that bitch with nothing but children. It's 3 times the size of that. And I have videos that did better. I have videos that have done bigger. I have ones that have 10 times the amount of that and more. And I am proud of each and every one of them. The one thing I'm scared of, though, is the day that I decide to stop making these videos. Because I won't make that decision. I will make the decision to slow down. I'll say, I'll re download Twitter and then I'll post something on there that says, hey, sorry, no upload this week. Or I'll post another one that says, sorry, it's just a bad day for me. And then I'll give a good reason why I didn't make the video. And then the next week, I'll make another one that says, sorry, no upload. And then I won't give a good reason. I'll give a reason, but it's not going to be a good one. And then the next one where I won't give a reason. And then I'll go to sleep each night. I'll come home from work and then I'll go to bed. I'll forget to make one. Some days I'll go to bed and I won't remember that I had a thing until 2 days later, where it will hit me in the back of the mind like a freight train that I have forgotten something. And then I'll sit there in just inactivity, this ball of anxiety that will not go away until I do something. But I don't know what to do. And when you don't know what to do something, the safest bet is to not do anything. You can't break anything if you don't do anything. And that's something that's hard for me. Because when you have this clear, defined amount of stuff that a fixation has led you to, you don't want to get rid of it. Because your main thought is, I'll come back to it. It's a little bit of a dry spell. I'll come back to it, though. We're not playing D&D right now, but I'll come back to it. I'll keep my books over here just in case I want to teach another person how to play it. This new friend that I've made who hangs out a lot with my others, he'll come around and we'll play the game together. And that person does their own thing. They buy their own books and they watch their own YouTube videos. They watch their own episodes of Critical Role. They decide to, and then boom. They don't need me to teach them. And then they find their own friends, and then I just launch somebody off into their next hobby. but I didn't get anything from it. And now I'm just sitting here with my, okay, I guess the dry spell continues. And then it continues forward. And these books just get more dust. And I look at each one and I can only see the price tags on them as 30, 40, 50, $60 of just stuff that no longer is useful to me. Same thing with Warhammer. I have one friend that plays Warhammer, and I work 5 days a week, and our schedules don't align. So by the time I'm off, we can't play together. And my first thought is, okay, I'll drive up to Murfreesboro, and then I'll think to myself, oh, there's a few game places in there. I can just hang out and enjoy playing with one other person. And then back of my head is like, you don't know the rules that well, though. And then it's this ball of like, I know the lore, the stories, the world, the universe better than anyone in this state, most people in the country. I have seen 1,000 videos. I've read over a dozen books, which puts me in the high percentage of a lot of people that I know. But I know it's a fixation. And I know one day nobody's going to give a shit. And the anxiety of not furthering this thing holds me still so I can feel the fear. And then I am so racked with inability to move that I don't grow forward and I don't like pursue what could have been with the actual thing itself. I don't go out and look for Discord so I can play D&D. I don't go to my local game shops and then play Warhammer with other people. I don't see if there's anybody online who can like do professional painting for models so I can make them more presentable, and I don't look any further because I want to pursue this thing that I know I'm only focusing on for a little bit of time. I know I only have a limited amount of time with each one of my fixations. I only have a certain amount of time before the dopamine doesn't hit anymore, before the first string is cut, and before everything starts to fall away. I know I only have a little bit amount of time, and I'm trying to savor it. I don't know how much is there, and I don't know what's going to be there. Because when I stop caring about something, there's nothing I can do to slow it down because I just don't care enough to keep it around. And there's a lot of them. I've only brought up 3 of them because those are 3 that have been recent and been in my mind for a while. There's a dozen others. There are hundreds of comic books behind me that I told myself I would read. There's dozens, if not hundreds, as well, of manga that I have also tried to read. I have slowly started to fall off on, and I don't want to slow down on them because they're brand new. I haven't touched them yet, but I can't force myself to read them because I spend so much goddamn time looking at YouTube. I know I have hobbies. I know I have real hobbies. I can sing like a motherfucker. I sound amazing. I know this. Do you have any idea how hard it is to convince yourself that you are legitimately good at something? I am fucking beautiful. My voice sounds amazing. I know this. Everyone around me knows this. I bring joy when I do this. But I never pursue it further. There's music I can make in the world, and I never fucking pursue it because I'm scared and I don't know what to do. There's an old man who comes into my job all the time, and he says, I bet I can teach you how to play. And I want to take him up on his offer. I want to do the things that he's willing to teach because I want to grow further. But I don't because I'm scared that my schedule is going to get messed up. And I know that if I do one day fixate hard enough on it, that it can grow into one of those. And then I can play, I can learn, I'll know 5 fucking songs and nothing else. Because my attention span will have dropped and I'll have nothing else. I'll sit there and I'll noodle away at the same thing every once in a while until I don't play the guitar anymore. The memory will still be in the back of my head. I'll know every word. I'll know every bit of every song, but I'll only have 5 and I know I won't grow any further. I don't like the place that I'm at in my brain a lot of the times because I know I can only have a little bit of time of enjoying something and I don't use that time enough. I do the things that everybody who doesn't have like a goal in life does, where you watch videos made by random people that have good intent and have good reason, but you only sit there and you watch them. That's it. Nothing. There's no big grand thing to it. You're not learning anything. It's background noise while you scroll through fucking Twitter or Reddit or I don't know, Pinterest or something. You're just scrolling through it absentmindedly, reading and hoping that one joke will blow your mind off. And it just keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going. And then the video ends. So you search out and find a new one. You find compilations of shit you don't care about, but it's 3 hours long. So you know it's going to take up time. Then you do that. And then the next thing happens. And then the next. And then the next. The videos keep going. And when you can't find any videos, you go on Netflix and you rewatch some shit that you don't think is funny anymore, but you play it in the background because it's going to be one of those days. I don't like that. I don't like having access to the internet that's that easy to where so many people around me talk about, oh, did you watch this YouTuber's video? Okay, I will. And then I watch a 20-minute video. And then I'll be recommended another 20-minute video. And then I'll watch that. And then I realize I've taken up 2.5 hours. And then I realize I have to go to bed so I can wake up early the next morning to go to work. And then I don't have anything else to do. That was 2.5 hours I could have used. But my brain went to autopilot because I'm tired. And I thought I wanted to just relax for a little bit. And then relaxing meant I got nothing. I wasted time that I know I could have used to make the most out of a fixation in the back of my head. And that's as far as I got. There's just nothing else I can do for it. I know my biggest thing is I just need to stop fucking watching YouTube in there. If I get on the computer, I need to be doing research into shit that I care about, that I will actually use. Reading some of the books. Don't turn on YouTube until those books are done. Because the videos aren't going anywhere. I can just get back on YouTube and be like, okay, I've read all the books that I have in here. Uh, let's do it. And then I go back, and all the people I gave a shit about are still there. They lost one viewer for 5 months because I wanted to get through all the stuff that I wasted money on. And then by the time I'll feel like, okay, I've gotten one thing off my chest. I've got an old fixation that I never truly got rid of. Yeah, it's funny. People do No Nut November. I think I need to do No YouTube November. I'll still like upload my videos on the second channel, and I'll try to get on my other channel, and then try to get some videos done on this one. But I don't think I should watch any more YouTube for a while. I've done this before where I've just cut off things I feel like aren't good for me, and it worked all those times. Like I just cut off soda, drank it every single day, and then I just decided it's not good for me, so I just didn't drink it anymore. That was it. Dropped. So I think I need to do that. I definitely need to do that. I need to stop being on the internet as much as I am and just get through some shit because I'm not getting anything done. I make one video a week where I used to be able to make one a day. I have drive in me. I'm one of the best damn workers you've ever seen. But I don't want to be here. I want to be getting my ass moving. And I want to make the most out of this fixation before it leaves. Because I know it will leave. And hopefully it'll be one of those that I come back to because I've come back before. I've come back before that. And I want to be good at this. Thank you for those who cared. Thank you for anybody who got through this. Thank you for the inevitable people who turned it on, then turned it off. And if any of you out there watch this and you like know me personally, like you know my name, I love you. I really do. And I'm gonna get to work. This $400 microphone, this money ain't going to waste. Let's do this.